He said the Saudis are flying, not Scuds, flying drones against us, and they're firing from drones. I chuckled, and I said, the Saudis don't have drones. And then the day after I arrived, there was an attack on a group of South Korean diplomats on the road from the airport to the Marriott. They've been firing on the vessels, including American military vessels, which is a really, really stupid thing to do. If you can beat up on the Houthis, then the Bab al-Mandeb remains open.
Before Kiriakou's story, one point matters. Yemen's importance is not only what happens inside Yemen, it is where Yemen sits. Bab al-Mandab connects the Indian Ocean to the Red Sea and toward the Suez Canal, so any crisis there reaches global trade, Saudi security, and America's calculations in the Red Sea.
Now, I want us to briefly touch upon Yemen, briefly. It is central to this conflict. Yeah, most Americans have no idea about it, but it's not their fault. Sitting at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, one of the world's most critical shipping choke points connecting the Red Sea with the Mediterranean, how does Yemen's position, if you can just briefly tell the American viewers, how does it change, Yemen's position change the regional picture in ways Washington isn't fully explaining to its citizens?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you could picture the Horn of Africa in the east and the Arabian Peninsula, it comes almost to a close at the Bab el-Mandeb. The Bab el-Mandeb is only something like 9 miles across or 16 miles across. It's very, very, very close. And so all shipping coming through the Suez Canal has to eventually pass through the Bab el-Mandeb before it goes out into the Arabian Sea. Thus, the problem with Somali pirates in previous decades. I've spent a lot of time in Yemen over the years. I've been to Yemen 5 times. And every time I go, it's worse than the previous time.
Worse in what way?
The first time I went to Yemen, they were declaring unity. There used to be 2 Yemens, the Yemen Arab Republic and the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen. And they joined together to form Yemen. The People's Democratic Republic was a Soviet satellite state. The Soviet Union fell apart. They joined together in one Yemen. People were literally dancing in the streets. That was the first time I've ever seen that in my life. People were literally dancing in the streets. And then the second time I went, the economy was failing. People were saying, this unity thing didn't work out the way we thought it was going to be. The third time I went, they were firing Scud missiles at each other. And everybody was predicting they're going to split into 2 Yemens again. They didn't split into 2 Yemens. Something worse happened. The civil war broke out. The fourth time I went, I got in a taxi at the airport to go to the hotel. And I said to the taxi driver, so how are things in Yemen? And he said, they're not bad. It's just that the Houthis are flying Scuds against us. I'm sorry, not the Houthis. He said the Saudis are flying, not Scuds, flying drones against us, and they're firing from drones. I chuckled, and I said, the Saudis don't have drones. This is 2009. And I thought, oh, but we do. We're involved in a war in Yemen, and it's undeclared. And our drones are based right there in Djibouti, which is just 16 miles away. So I thought, oh, the American people don't know we're involved in a war in Yemen. And I reported it to John Kerry. I was the investigator on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at the time. The last time I went to Yemen, 2011, it was so dangerous that they picked me up in an armored convoy at the airport. You're only allowed to stay at the Marriott. It has 30-foot blast walls all the way around it. And then the day after I arrived, there was an attack on a group of South Korean diplomats on the road from the airport to the Marriott. All 6 of them were killed. At the end of the week, a group of South Korean intelligence officers arrived to investigate the attack, and they were attacked and killed. And then the South Koreans just closed their embassy. Well, Yemen's Houthi rebels have essentially taken over control of the government. They don't really control the country. They just control a part of the country that includes the capital city. They are Shia Muslim. They're the minority in Yemen, and they are close to the Iranian government. So the conventional wisdom is that the Iranians are arming them. That's likely true. And the Houthis have expressed solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. And so the Houthis have been doing several things. They have been harassing shipping coming through the Bab el-Mandeb. They've been firing on the vessels, including American military vessels, which is a really, really stupid thing to do. And then they've been launching missiles into southern Israel. They haven't done much damage. They hit Aqaba's small airport once, and they injured a couple people. They may have killed a guy in Haifa, something like that. But it's more harassment than anything else. The Israelis responded and surprised everybody with this response by opening diplomatic relations with a breakaway republic called Somaliland. I've been to Somaliland.
The only country who have done that in the world, right?
The only country in the world to recognize Somaliland as an independent country. So I went to Somaliland in 2009. It's the northernmost state in Somalia. Somalia, of course, is a failed state. It doesn't have a central government. It doesn't have a leader, not one that's recognized. It doesn't have a foreign policy. It's just anarchy, chaos. Somaliland can actually function on its own. It can't feed its people, but it can function on a day-to-day basis. So the Israelis have offered diplomatic recognition in exchange for the Somalilanders offering the Israelis a military base. And they're going to use that base to attack the Houthis.
But also control the Bab el-Mandeb.
Well, that's the whole key.
Yeah, entry and exit of it.
Yeah,
right.
That's the whole key. If you can beat up on the Houthis, then the Bab el-Mandeb remains open.